saving my first 100K didn't just come from increasing my salary. It came from making a few intentional sacrifices that not many people want to make in order to hit their financial goals. In this video, I'm going to highlight 7 of the top things that I sacrificed on during my late 20s to early 30s in order to get me to reach 100K much faster than I had originally planned. Hey guys, welcome to Live Free with Sherry, where we talk about freedom as it relates to your finances, travel, and mindset. If you are new here, please click like and subscribe to join the community of freedom seekers. All right, guys, so today we are talking about the topic of intentional sacrifice and how it expeditiously brought me towards meeting my financial milestone goal of $100,000 saved and invested. The first step that I did before I even got to my intentional sacrifice was that I did work on increasing my salary. When I originally started teaching, the teacher's salary in Canada to start is about $50,000 Canadian. So I want to emphasize that, yes, this is a good salary compared or relative to a lot of other American states where teachers get $40K, $30K. So I've heard online. But in terms of the cost of living in my city and fees that you pay, the amount of taxes that you pay as teachers, the amount of union fees that gets taken off, your $50K salary really quickly turns into $35K take home by the end of the year. So I started originally teaching at that salary and I was not having it. I just did not want to make $50K. So I got creative and I thought about ways that I could increase my salary in the first year as a teacher. And what I learned is that if you are willing to relocate to certain parts of Canada, northern part of Canada, so let's say Nunavut, Northwest Territories, and other more remote communities across Canada, those schools and school boards were willing to pay much higher for the same work as a teacher. I want to emphasize that I also am master's degree educated. So when my salary was considered, they also did consider the fact that I do have a master's degree. So my salary was significantly higher than $50,000 during my first 3 years as a teacher, and that helped me tremendously in being able to save my first $100,000. Let's face it, a lot of people think, oh, just because you make $200K, $300K per year, that is the reason why you are able to save more money. Yes, it is true that people that make $100, $200, $300K per year do have greater access to being able to save more money, but simply because they make that much money doesn't mean that they're actually saving that money, because a lot of people that make $100K, $200K, $300K suffer from lifestyle inflation, which means that as your salary goes up, your expenses go up. So that gap between your income and your expenses remains very limited, which limits your ability to save. So now that I have prefaced and given you guys a little disclaimer of how my income was in the last 3-4 years, now I want to get into the ways that I have practiced intentional spending in order to hit $100,000. The first thing that I did in order to ensure that I was able to hit 100K is that I lived at home with my family until I was about 28 years old. So I know that this is not a privilege that everybody gets, but this was a privilege that I had, and I really took advantage of it. When I was in my teens and my early 20s, I was not required to pay rent. So up until 22, 23, I wasn't required to pay rent because I was in school. I had expenses related to school. But after I graduated my bachelor's degree and I went into the workforce. My mother never really asked me for money to contribute to the rent, but I took it upon myself to help her. So I would pay her about $500 to $700 between the ages of 23 to 28 years old while I was living with her, in order to kind of like help her out and also to give me the practice with being an individual that paid rent. Because a lot of times I hear online people live at home, but they're also not paying rent, like paying the $0. I don't believe that either. I just feel like if you're a grown adult and you're in your mid to late 20s and you're not in school, or you don't have any super high expenses that are related to education or bringing yourself forward, you should be paying your parents rent to show that you care about your parents, you want to help them, and to also practice the responsibility of being an adult and having those expenses. So I did contribute to rent, but obviously, my rent being $500 to $700 per month allowed me to save a lot of money while living at home. I want to highlight that it was not a walk in the park. There are things that you have to sacrifice while living at home. As you are growing into your adulthood, sometimes it can be limiting living at home because you don't feel like you have that same ability to express yourself or grow like you would had you been living alone. And I had a lot of other friends that were moving out at this time, moving into the downtown core, getting a nice aesthetic condos, having that ability to decorate and do their own interior design. And that's something that I always wanted for myself, but I knew that I was on the mission of saving $100,000. So I just made that sacrifice despite not really wanting that for myself. I made that sacrifice so that I could reach my financial milestone. Secondly, I drove and I continue to drive a paid off car. So my first car was a 2005 Honda Civic, and I drove that for as long as I could. And eventually I upgraded to a 2014 Honda Civic, which is also paid off. So I do not have any car expenses related to financing or monthly payments. When I upgraded my salary, did I want to finally buy that Lexus that I dreamed about? Yes. But have I bought that Lexus? No, because I had a mission to save $100,000. So there were opportunities where when I increased my salary, I could have easily taken on a car note and got the Lexus or the Benz that I wanted and that I dreamed about. But I stayed in my 2014 Honda Civic because I wanted to ensure that I hit my first $100,000. And I did through sacrificing on upgrading my car. The third thing that I sacrificed in order to hit my first 100K was beauty maintenance. So that would include nails, getting my eyebrows done, getting my hair done, doing my toenails, all of those things, facials, all of that. I sacrificed all of those things and I would try to do them at home. So for my hair, yes, I would do braids every 2-3 months. And in between getting braids done, I would do wigs where I could just rewear the wig consistently without having to take on the monthly expense of doing and maintaining my hair. I never got a sew-in for the last 6 years, I can say, because the prices of sew-ins in my city are outrageous. But I did get my first one in 6 years a month ago, and it was cute. You would have seen it in my last videos. But prior to that, I had waited 6 years to get a sew-in because I just couldn't afford it. Prior to that, I want to say when I was in my early 20s, I used to do my sew-ins by myself. I used to do them by myself, and I don't know why, but at that age, I was much more creative. I was more willing to experiment with braiding down my hair, putting the leave out, and then putting in a sew-in by myself. But right now, I'm just like, I can't do it and I'm not paying to get it done. So I will opt for more affordable hairstyles such as braids that last at least 2 months or wigs that can be worn over and over without consistently having to go to the hair salon. Also for nails, I've opted for press-on nails or just painting my natural nails or just leaving them as they are. My toenails, I usually will do them when I'm on vacation and when my toes are going to be out or during the summer. So I cut out all those beauty things. Facials, what are those? I wouldn't even do facials. I would do facials at home. And my eyebrows, girl, you can see that my eyebrows are thick as heck because I don't really do those either. I do those, I want to say 4 times a year when I go on vacation or when they just really get out of hand. But usually I just shape them up myself and I fill them in, and this is what you're getting because I am on a savings journey. Next thing that I cut out in order to hit my first 100K is shopping. So in one of my last videos, I mentioned or I discussed my relationship with shopping and with this culture of consumerism, but I just developed this distaste and this disgust around shopping and mindless consumerism. On social media, we are constantly influenced to buy new workout gear, buy new clothing, keep up with the latest trends. And I used to do that. I used to fall into that trap, which led me to consistently buy new clothes and throw those clothes out once they no longer became trendy. So now I've opted for a capsule wardrobe. So I would put out a little bit more money up front to buy from stores such as like Aritzia in order to buy capsule clothing that could be worn and reworn and paired with different outfits so that I didn't have to consistently go out to Shein and buy the most trendy clothing. Do I occasionally go to Shein? Yes. I haven't cut it out completely, but I've redefined my relationship with these fast fashion brands where if I need 1 or 2 pieces randomly for vacation, I will indulge in that, but I'm not doing the huge Shein hauls like I used to. I'm not buying a new batch of Shein clothing every season. I am opting to find more high quality pieces that can be worn throughout the seasons, that can be layered so that I can save money in the department of shopping. Also, another way that I practice intentional spending in order to hit my first 100K was to be a budget traveler. So in my early 20s, I was staying in hostels. You don't hate on the hostels because they were actually pretty decent. I want to say that I've been to a few hostels where it was kind of dirty or had that musty smell, which I didn't really love. So I ended up checking out of. But for the most part, hostels really did serve me well in my early 20s. I did a 2-week backpacking trip in Europe where I went to Paris, France, where I went to Rome and Florence, Italy. We went to Amsterdam. And while I was there, we stayed in hostels for the entire 2 weeks. And the nightly rate for the hostels was like $20 to $50 per night. So we saved a lot of money. So was I still traveling while I was working to hit my financial milestone? Yes, but I was traveling on a budget. Your girl was not a bougie traveler by any means. Now that I'm older, I've upgraded to Airbnbs. Sometimes I will do hotels, but for the most part, I still travel on a budget. I've hit 25 countries, but I want to say most of the countries that I visited, those trips have been 7 days or more, and the cost for the hotel or the accommodation and the flight have always been under, I want to say, $1,000 to $1,500. I travel to Mexico frequently. I've been there like 4 or 5 times now, and Mexico, I'm not going unless it's under $600, flight and accommodation included. And that's with me staying at a nice Airbnb. So there are ways to approach travel in an intentional way where you're not breaking the bank, but you're still able to stay on track to meeting your financial goals. Another way that I've approached intentional spending is by not just buying things to look expensive. I completely shifted my mindset from needing to look bougie or look expensive. There was a time where everyone on social media got the red bottoms, they got the Louis bag, they got the Benz, they have all of those materialistic designer items in order to look a certain way. And yes, I know that some people buy these things simply because they like nice things, they like designer. I get it, but I was on a different mission. I want to save my money and invest my money. I don't want to wear my money. So I really feel like Everybody has access to money, but you are the one that chooses what you want to do with it. Some people want to wear their money, other people want to have it in their bank account. And I'm the one that wants to have it. You know, yes, I'm going to still look good. I still dress up. I can still clean up nice, but I'm not going to be a designer girly, especially while I was trying to hit my first 100K and now working up to hitting my second 100K to bring me up to $200,000. Do I love designer brands? Yes. I would love myself a Louis V bag. I would love myself a YSL bag, but I'm not getting it. No, I'm not getting it because I love having time freedom. I love having money to invest much more. And that is what really, truly makes me happy. I love being able to step out of the workforce at points during my life because I have enough money invested and saved to feel a bit comfortable. Am I, completely at financial freedom? Am I at fat fire, which is being so financially free that you have enough money to invest and make you money until you're 65 without working? No. Your girl is going to have to dedicate to building up her business and jumping in and out of the workforce because I'm not at fat fire yet. I'm not at $1 million yet, but I do want to say that 100K is a milestone that not everyone reaches in their late 20s, early 30s. So it is possible, but there is some sacrifice around it. It is a combination of increasing your salary and decreasing your expenses in conjunction. Not one can exist without the other. So overall, I want to emphasize that saving your first $100,000, it isn't just one decision. It is a combination of lifestyle choices and redesigning of your lifestyle to accommodate for the new goal that you're making. It is a combination of finding ways to increase your salary as well as decrease your expenses in order to hit that goal. I know that is very possible for you. There's ways around it. Yes, not everybody has the same access. Maybe your goal might not be saving 100K. Maybe your goal is hitting 10K. Maybe your goal is hitting 5K, but you can still practice all of these same strategies that I used in order to hit whatever financial milestone that you are working toward. This is what bought me my freedom era. This is why I feel so comfortable to be off of work or to be working sporadically and to be picking up random shifts and to have the comfort and time to step away from the full-time workforce to be building my business. It's because I have hit a financial goal where I feel a little bit comfortable to step away from full-time earning while I explore my creative pursuits and entrepreneurship. I will continue to rinse and repeat this system. This is not something that is temporary. I didn't just do this so that I could hit 100K. I will continue to do this so that I can hit 200K. And that's coming very soon, y'all. So yes, join me on this journey where we decenter material things, we decenter designer items, we decenter things that we don't need so that we can center and we can prioritize financial freedom, time freedom, location freedom, and travel and leveling up, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Peace.